Hey everybody, it's Eric from EPautos.com, your libertarian car guy. I wanted to point to two things that are interesting, I think, in that they have become exceptional, and they used to be things that were just sort of taken for granted in vehicle design. What I mean is, and hopefully you'll be able to get a decent view of this, here is the secondary control panel for the heating, air conditioning, and other controls in this Infiniti QX. And I'm trying to give you a better vantage point of it. And as you can see, instead of being popped up here on a Pop-Tart style touchscreen, it's laid sort of at an angle at the forward part of the center console where, you know, your hand naturally goes. So it's a lot easier to operate the controls this way than having to reach forward. And I'm a tall guy and I've got longer arms than most people, but trying to lean forward to touch a touchscreen up front, I think is inordinately poor design. And most of the vehicles out there do have that. This is one of the first examples I've seen of a car that does not have that. So kudos to Infiniti for doing that. And the other thing is that, you know, you can see, look here, it's got a knob that you can use to change the volume and to adjust, I think, the channel as well. So you can use this main secondary touchscreen up here, but you don't have to. Now the irony, of course, is that before they started to emulate all of these cell phone type interfaces in new vehicles, it was just a given that if you wanted to change the radio station or volume, well, you reached over and you rotated a knob. Very straightforward. And if you wanted to make it hotter or colder or increase the fan speed, you pretty much did the same by rotating knobs and pushing buttons. Very intuitive, simple, tactile controls that were operable without having to necessarily look at them, that you could do it by feel, and they were just there. And we've gone away from that, chiefly because of this weird, to me anyway, craze, and I think that's a fair description, of making everything seem like it's a smartphone. I don't get it myself. I do understand why the manufacturers are doing it, obviously, because a lot of people like it. That's one obvious reason, but another reason that's not so obvious is that it allows them to bundle or package a lot of controls in one place and declutter the interior. You know, new vehicles now have so many features. Everything that used to be optional now is standard, even on the low end stuff. You know, pretty much every car now, I think every car has power windows, power locks, has cruise control, it has intermittent wipers, all that stuff. Most new cars also have cruise control. They have pretty good stereos. You know, where are you going to find a place for all of these interfaces and controls? Well, you know, you can put them on the dash and on the console, but then you got a ton of little buttons and things everywhere. And that gets cluttery, and it also makes it more expensive to assemble the car as it comes down the line, and more potential failure points. So instead of doing that, they've just sort of embedded everything into these smartphone emulating touchscreens, which do clean up the interior, do make it less expensive and easier for the manufacturer to put these things together down the line, and frankly increase their profit as well, because, you know, if you can put everything into one of these LCD touchscreens, you're saving money as opposed to having to source individual gauges, buttons, switchgear, and so on, and all of that. On the downside, of course, if everything is embedded in one of these touchscreens, what happens when the touchscreen fails? Inevitably, it probably will. I mean, well, inevitably, it will at some point fail, or a connection will go south. Something will go wrong with it. And when everything is embedded in that touchscreen, then you've got a problem with everything, don't you? And the other problem that you may have, and I guess we're going to just have to see how this all plays out over the next 15 or 20 years, will these things be available? I mean, replacement parts in 15 or 20 years. Now, I know not everybody, in fact, most people these days, they will get a car and they'll swap it out for a new one before 10 years goes by. But I kind of think that trend is also going to reverse, because of the cost of vehicles. It's just become exorbitant, and people are holding on to vehicles for longer because, you know, it makes sense to do that. You know, you want to not have to buy a new vehicle, right? Well, what happens when one of these screens goes dark on you? Then you've got this whole ordeal of not being able to operate the functions without getting that screen. And if you can't get the screen, then you got a real problem. So anyway, just some random thoughts on this Memorial Day weekend. I'm headed down to the gym for Captain Freedom's workout. Are you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering? Remember when Jesse Ventura was cool? So sad that he isn't anymore. And the same goes for you too, Arnold, if you're listening. More up at EPautos.com, the web's best libertarian gearhead site. Thanks as always for listening. We will catch up with you again soon.